Folks, welcome to Salton Sea, one of the strangest places on the planet. This lake is located in Southern California, east of San Diego, and it's had its fare of rough and tumble circumstances. And I kind of want to give you a Reader's Digest version of the events that happened here. It's obviously a lot more complicated than this, but this gives you the basic facts about how this place came to be. In the late 1890s, they figured out this place could be a rich agricultural area if they could get water here. So they diverted the Colorado River, built a trough to bring the water here, and the water started flowing here, and then they started selling land and farmers came in and started farming. This worked fine for a while, but the canal got bogged up with silt pretty quickly, and the water supply dwindled, and the farmers were struggling, their crops were dying, and they were still paying their water fees. So it was kind of a bummer. But anyway, when the developers knew that they had to do something about it really quickly because it was going to take a couple of years to dredge out the canal. So don't forget, this was around the turn of the previous century, and they didn't have excavators and heavy equipment like that. So it was going to take a couple of years to get the silt out. And so they decided on another tactic, and that was to tap into the Colorado River, actually over the border in Mexico with Mexico's permission, and they could do a much shorter canal. And keep in mind that we're below sea level here, so if you tap into the Colorado River, it is going to flow downhill, so that's not a problem. In digging this new canal, things got out of control, and the water started just rushing in. What was supposed to be a, 50 or 100 meter wide canal ended up being, I think it was something like 2,700 meters. Huge masses of water came in and just completely flooded this entire valley. In fact, where I'm standing right now, I'd be underwater. More on that later. But so everything was wiped out. And then the years went by, it couldn't be used for agriculture, but it became the largest lake in California. It's about twice the size, I think, of Lake Tahoe. In the 50s and 60s, it became this incredible recreation area. That's when motorboating became popular, and water skiing, fishing, just general boating. And all these resorts popped up, including one just about, I think, 8 miles north of here called Bombay Beach, which I'll talk more about in a second. But anyway, it was this huge recreation area. They had more visitors here than they have in Yosemite National Park. Rat Pack came down here, Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., Marilyn Monroe. Everybody hung out here. These resorts were hopping. And then in the 1970s, there was just a massive flood. I think due to rainfall, actually, not due to any issues with the Colorado River. And it inundated many of these places and just kind of wiped them out. By then, the lake was becoming more saline, which is what happens to a lake when it doesn't have an outlet and flow into it. And the only thing maintaining the level of the lake was agricultural runoff, which was a bit toxic. That, along with the salinity of the water, all the wildlife started dying and the lake started stinking. And so the whole tourist thing was completely wiped out, which was a shame. And then since the 70s until now, the water has been slowly receding. I'm going to try to walk to the waterfront here. I'm not sure if I'm going to make it because it's probably going to get muddy, but the water's been receding rapidly. You can see that the surface that I'm walking on here is obviously lake bottom, striated with that look. And you can see the lake in the distance there as well. And one of the biggest problems of the area is the air pollution. The air pollution happens because the dry lake bed stirs up dust when it gets windy, and there's a lot of asthma and health problems. Like any place that's kind of unique, there's a lot of people that love this place. They want to maintain it. They want to bring it back or get some more water in the lake and make it more habitable. But that's obviously a big problem. But one interesting place that I visited yesterday is Bombay Beach, and it's become sort of this post-apocalyptic artist community, which is pretty cool. It's kind of run down, people live in trailers and stuff, and it looks a little dicey, but there's some great artwork there, so that's a great place to visit if you want to get the feel, and I love these kind of places. There is kind of a political battle. The solution, according to the locals, is they want to bring in water from the Sea of Cortez down south, saltwater, and they figured that'll be a solution because they could just dig another canal from the Sea of Cortez, unlimited supply of water, and that would bring it back, and they could deal with the saline nature of it. They could just have a salt lake, or they could maybe desalinate it, and make it better that way. So that's kind of the plan. Now you might ask, well, why don't they just redo the canal from the Colorado? Well, that water's all spoken for now because there's just more of a demand on the fresh water so that you can't tap into the Colorado anymore. That ship has sailed, so the solution's going to be water from the Sea of Cortez down south. Now I'm getting to the lake here. I am going to be able to get right to the shore. I'm walking and I'm definitely leaving footprints, for better or worse. And you can see some footprints on the ground out here in front of me. But so where does it go from here? Well, nobody really knows, but one guy pointed out that for the cost of one B-2 bomber, they could actually dig that trench from the Sea of Cortez and fix all the problems that are going on here. In the meantime, the only solution to the dust really is to try to wet it down. That's what they're doing at the Owens Lake, but otherwise the water is just receding. A lot of people bought property here along the canals and they thought they were going to be able to boat right up to the dock in their house, and now those canals are either dry or just a foot or two deep of water, so they can no longer boat there. The fishing used to be amazing here. One guy said he hadn't seen anybody pull a fish out of here in 3 or 4 years. You can see sometimes on the coast you'll see a bunch of dead fish, and those are mostly gone now because it's been years. Bringing in the salt water would probably bring this back, but it's still kind of a desperate situation here. But there are people who love this place and want to live here. It's just too bad that it's become what it has become. I'm about 500 meters from my camp over that way, and that's how far it is to the to where the lake used to be. And as I said, I would be under many feet of water right here. It is good to keep in mind that unlike Lake Tahoe, this lake is not going to be as deep. I don't know how deep it is in the middle, but it basically was a kind of a playa, a low point below sea level, sort of like Death Valley, but it's now a lake. And there are some people that say, well, why don't you just let it go back to the way it was 100 years ago or 200 years ago? But I think most of the locals would rather see the lake fill up and have it return back to a lake community. So we just have to watch and see how it goes. Now, there are some more in-depth videos about this. I don't have one, but I can put the link to some others down below if you want to really get into it like I have. But it's a fun place to visit. I do recommend it. Thanks for watching.